Hello students and welcome to Learno Biology. My name is Nandini and this video is the continuation of life process chapter of class 10 biology. We have already completed the respiration in plants in the previous videos, and in this video we will be completing respiration in animals. So let's get started with the video. So जो टॉपिक्स हम इस चैप्टर में कवर करने वाले हैं वो है डिफरेंस इन ब्रीदिंग एंड रेस्पिरेशन, मोड ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन इन डिफरेंट एनिमल्स एंड रेस्पिरेशन इन ह्यूमंस. So let us first understand what is the difference in breathing and respiration. So breathing is the mechanism by which we inhale air that is rich in oxygen and exhale the air which is rich in carbon dioxide. So breathing in simple is inhaling the air जिसमें oxygen है and exhaling the air that has carbon dioxide. On the other hand, if we talk about respiration, respiration includes breathing along with the breakdown of food. So what is respiration? Respiration is breakdown or oxidation of food to release energy in the form of ATP, and this process takes place in the presence of oxygen. और ये oxygen हमें breathing के process से मिला है. We have already completed respiration along with its type in detail in our previous videos. If in case you have not seen that video, I'll put that video on I button and also in the description box. Moving forward, the next topic is modes of respiration in different animals. So we will be talking about modes of respiration in different animals. First of all, we'll start with respiration in amoeba. So amoeba is a unicellular organism. It means amoeba is made up of single cell only and the body is not that differentiated. So the respiration process takes place by simple diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of gases or particles from higher concentration area to lower concentration area. So if we talk about respiration in case of amoeba, it takes place by simple diffusion across the cell membrane. They use oxygen for the process of respiration and in turn they release energy and carbon dioxide in the cell membrane. Next, we need to discuss respiration in earthworm. Earthworm is a terrestrial organism and it lives under the soil, and they use their skin to absorb oxygen from the air and remove carbon dioxide. The skin of earthworm is moist and thin and they perform respiration by simple diffusion. The respiratory organ in earthworm is skin. Moving on, we need to talk about respiration in case of fishes. Fishes are aquatic animals and they have gills as their respiratory organs. They extract oxygen which is dissolved in water. Next, we need to talk about respiration in case of insects. Insects like grasshopper, cockroach, housefly and mosquito, they have tiny holes on their body known as spiracles along with air tubes called trachea, and these are the respiratory organs in case of insects. Spiracles along with trachea are responsible for the gaseous exchange in case of insects. Here in this tracheal system of respiration, air reaches the cells directly. So, if we talk about all the respiratory organs, whether it is skin, gills, trachea or lungs, they have some common features. First of all the respiratory organs have large surface area to accommodate more and more oxygen. Second, all the respiratory organs have thin walls for easy diffusion and exchange of respiratory gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number 3, all the respiratory organs like skin, lungs, gills have a rich blood supply for transporting gases. But if we talk about tracheal system of respiration, here air reaches the cells directly. Now let us move on to the last topic of this chapter, that is human respiratory system. First of all, we will talk about parts of respiratory system. So क्या parts हैं? Nose, pharynx, trachea and lungs. So these are the 4 main parts of human respiratory system and we will be discussing these parts individually. So let's start with nose. Talking about the nose, nose has a pair of external nostrils. The air enters through these nostrils only. The inner lining of nostril is lined with hair epithelium, that means it has fine hairs for filtering the air which is passing through the nostrils. Also, it has goblet cells that secrete mucus inside the nose. The function of mucus is to keep the lining of the nose moist and also it warms the air that you inhale. Moving on to the next part, that is pharynx. Nasal chamber opens into pharynx. It is a common passage for food and air and it leads to windpipe or air tube called trachea through a slit called glottis. Glottis always remains closed except during swallowing. It has a flap-like structure called epiglottis. At the time of swallowing, epiglottis closes the glottis to avoid the entry of food into the air pipe, otherwise the person will choke. Pharynx open into larynx through the glottis. So the pharynx extends into larynx and it is the uppermost part of the trachea and is more prominent in man, and the structure is called Adam's apple. The next part that we have is trachea. Larynx leads to trachea and it is composed of cartilaginous rings. The trachea is a narrow tube that extends up to mid-thoracic cavity. The whole structure of trachea is covered by C-shaped cartilaginous rings that helps to prevent the collapse of trachea in case of absence of air. The primary function of trachea is to allow the inhaled air to reach lungs and exhaled air back from the body. The inner lining of trachea is lined with cilia and it also secretes mucus. This helps to filter out the air which we have inhaled. The trachea enters the lungs by bifurcating into bronchi. As you can see it over here, trachea is bifurcating into two branches. These are bronchi. Bronchi is the plural word and the singular word is bronchus. The end of the trachea divides into two bronchi which enters the left and the right lung. Bronchi are further branched into multiple small units called bronchioles, and bronchioles end with a sac-like structure called alveolus. Moving on to the next part of human respiratory system, that is lungs. Lungs are the organ that help in the gaseous exchange. They are also called pulmonals. They are situated in the thoracic cavity and they facilitate gaseous exchange through the diffusion of gases via alveoli. Here, alveoli plays a very important role because alveoli is the site of exchange of gases in case of human respiratory system. This is the primary functional unit of lungs, which is richly supplied with blood capillaries. They are very thin-walled and they have this bubble-like structure. These alveoli are made up of single layer of epithelial cells to enable easy diffusion. Now let us see how the exchange of gases takes place in human. When we breathe in, chest cavity becomes large due to lifting of our ribs and flattening of diaphragm. Ribs and diaphragm plays a very important role in exchange of gases. Ribs are the bone cage that protects our lungs, and if we talk about diaphragm is a muscle that helps in inhaling and exhaling by contracting and relaxing. Because of this, air is pushed into the lungs and fills in the alveoli. The blood brings carbon dioxide from all the parts of the body and releases it into the alveoli. And the oxygen in the alveolar sac is taken up by the bloodstream and transported to various body organs present inside our body. And then they transport it to all the parts of the body. Here we need to talk about a respiratory pigment that plays a very important role. That is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment that helps in the transportation of oxygen. Talking about the function of hemoglobin, this is an oxygen transporter which is made up of iron and protein. Oxygen binds with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, and this is how oxygen is transported in case of humans. When air is taken in and let out, lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. Let us look at the passage of air through the human respiratory system. We inhale air that is rich in oxygen, and through nostrils it enters into nasal passage. Through nasal passage it enters into nasal cavity and then it extends to the pharynx. After that it reaches larynx, and through larynx it reaches trachea. Trachea is then bifurcated into bronchi, and these bronchi enter into lungs, where it is branched to form tiny tubules known as bronchioles, and bronchioles end with the air sac that is known as alveoli, and alveoli is the site of exchange of gases from where oxygen is transported to our blood and carbon dioxide from the blood is transported to alveoli. So with this we reach the end of this video. If in case you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment box. I will be looking at it. I will put the links of the other parts of this chapter in the description box. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to Learno Biology. Thank you.